President Buhari, Vice President Osinbajo to be inoculated on Saturday as Nigeria receives first batch of COVID-19 vaccines. Zamfara miners react to ban on mining activities, denying any link with bandits. In international news, Myanmar protests leave more than 3 dozen dead in bloodiest day since military coup. And in sport, Paralympic champion Lorita Onye cries out to the lack of funding for Tokyo Olympics.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) has confirmed 708 new cases of coronavirus in 20 states and the Federal Capital Territory. This brings the country's total recorded infections to 157,671. Adamawa led the chart with 180 new cases, followed by Lagos with 140. 14 other states recorded cases in the high to low double digits, while 5 states had cases in single digits. NCDC reports more than 136,000 patients have been discharged after their recovery, and the fatalities stand at nearly 2,000. President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo will publicly be inoculated tomorrow with the AstraZeneca Oxford COVID-19 vaccine. Executive Director, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Fauzi Shuaib, said the exercise will boost the confidence of Nigerians to receive the vaccine. About 4 million doses of which arrived in the country this week. A vaccination program was launched this morning at the National Hospital in Abuja by the chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa. In the government's plan to vaccinate frontline health workers that work in the treatment center of the National Hospital, a physician, Dr. Cyprian Ungong, was the first to receive the AstraZeneca jab today. The President and Vice President will be inoculated tomorrow, an event Shuaib said should increase public confidence in the safety of the vaccines. The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency has asked Nigerians who wish to register to receive the jab to register on the agency's website, a call that appears to be well received. Barely 24 hours after the arrival in the country on Tuesday of the 4 million doses of the vaccines, more than 2.5 million Nigerians have registered for vaccination. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 says Nigerians younger than 18 years will not be included in the planned mass vaccination. It also warns private organizations not to procure, distribute, or administer the COVID-19 vaccines. Miners in Zamfara State have reacted to the federal government's ban on their activities, saying they have no links with bandits. National President of the Miners Association of Nigeria, Kabir Kankara, says the group welcomes the government's efforts to tackle insecurity in the state. But he argues members of the association have no part in banditry in the state. The federal government had announced on Tuesday a complete ban on mining activities in Zamfara State and declared a no-fly zone there because of an upsurge in banditry. The association's National Secretary, Dele Anyoleke, says miners were not against any government's measures to forestall insecurity in the country, but he advised the government to take steps to ensure that artisans miners do not encroach into sites belonging to mining title holders during the period of the ban. The Deputy Speaker of Ogun State House of Assembly, Oludare Kadiri, has been impeached on Thursday for alleged gross misconduct. Kadiri was arrested and interrogated by the police at the state headquarters in Abeokuta last Friday for allegedly leading a team of thugs to attack some politicians, including the Secretary to the state government, Tokunbo Tanabi, in Oru Ijebu North local government. During plenary on Thursday, Speaker Olakunle Oluomo pronounced the impeachment of his deputy, Kadiri, after an ad hoc committee set up to investigate allegations of gross misconduct found him guilty. Kadiri has described his removal as grossly unconstitutional and illegal and has promised to challenge it in court. Nigerians are familiar with the tough economic times in the country. Many paycheck earners now find it difficult to stretch their income. Now, many are finding ways to add other side economic activities to boost their income. Correspondent Kelechi Mekalam explains how even professionals do it.
Nsushima Agwabi works as a customer service assistant in one of the banks in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Her 6-year-old career earns her a monthly income of about $150. It's not enough to pay her bills. In a bid to supplement her income, she set up an oil perfume business called Nshima Scents. Now she rakes in nearly twice her monthly salary from the side business.
Let me start selling these perfumes too, since they are easy to carry. I can carry them in my bag to work, and I can advertise it anywhere. I can stop anybody on the road to buy my perfume. So I started selling. The salary is not enough, so this has really helped. In Nigeria, before the salary comes in, you spent it, but this business has really helped me.
But combining her full-time job with her side hustle hasn't been a walk in the park.
I must confess, it's not easy. I have to wake up very early in the morning, prepare for work. Then when I come back, that's when my business starts. My business doesn't clash with my job. Even if I want to sell to the staff, it's when it's after work. I don't sell during office hours.
The National Bureau of Statistics reports that 21.7 million Nigerians are unemployed and another 28.6% are underemployed. Like Nsushima, millions of employed Nigerian youths engage in various forms of side hustles to augment their regular income. The economic climate has been unfavorable, as minimum wage is pegged at $70 monthly.
The economic reality is very grim, and day by day inflation is eating into the standard of living of individuals in Nigeria, while the employers, either governments or the private sector, are not doing anything to increase the salaries of employed Nigerians. In the reality that we found ourselves, it will be difficult for us to discourage the issue of side hustling. However, side hustling must not be done in such a way that it affects the current employment of that person.
While side hustle may be boosting the income of citizens, experts warn that it could lead to divided focus and burnout from overworking. But many, like Nsushima, aren't taking chances. They're securing other alternatives which they can fall back on upon retirement.
Coming up, African stories. South African rights group lobbies for use of currently unapproved ivermectin for treatment of COVID-19 patients. And later, international news. Myanmar protests leave more than 3 dozen dead in bloodiest day since military coup.
You are watching ANN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. The use of ivermectin drug to treat COVID-19 patients has not been approved in South Africa, but its illegal use permits the society. Now, a rights group is lobbying for its approval. Correspondent Yolisa Injamela reports.
Ivermectin is a drug that has been around for many years. It is used for the treatment and control of parasites in animals. It's also used to treat humans for several tropical diseases not commonly seen in South Africa.
Recently, there have been public calls for doctors to be allowed to administer the drugs, but South Africa's health authorities are only making it available for controlled use.
The drug was initially declared illegal by the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority. The regulatory authority warned that there's not enough scientific evidence around the use of the drug, both for safety and efficacy, to either treat or prevent COVID-19. But last month, after legal wrangles, the authority approved a controlled use of the drug on humans. But civil rights group AfriForum, an organization that has been spearheading the fight for the wide usage of the drug, says the drug should never have been banned in the first place. The group says ivermectin is currently a legally dispensable drug in South Africa due to a technical oversight by the regulatory authority.
The question is ivermectin illegal, as has been alleged by many so far? The fact, and that question can be answered simply, it is not illegal. In fact, it's already listed as a Schedule 3 medicine in the Medicines Act. It's been printed there. It's true. It's always been like that.
At a media briefing, AfriForum announced that the South African drug regulator never published a notice in a government gazette to declare the drug illegal in the first place. This is a requirement as per the Medicines and Related Substances Act, necessitating registration of the drug. The Act also requires that select medicines must be registered prior to any commercial activity.
It's a legal medicine, it's listed in the Act, and in the absence of a call for registration, there's no further need to legalize the medicine. It can be administered as we understand the Act.
It is about giving medical professionals every tool possible in the fight against COVID-19 so that they can also honor the oath they took.
In spite of this new information, AfriForum is still taking the fight to court to ensure the drug is widely available.
We had been to the urgent court, and the urgent court granted an interim order that actually just allowed for the program to be recognized and to be given a chance. And that's where we stand at this stage with the application. They failed during this 30 years to publish the notice inviting the public to register ivermectin. And with that being said, we believe that the whole legal challenge is now on a totally different footing.
The group will now amend its court application to obtain a declaratory order that ivermectin is a legal Schedule 3 medicine and readily available.
Zimbabwe tobacco producers are seeing domestic greenbacks as they argue for more export restrictions to boost further local use, especially in cigarette manufacturing. But some economists say, not so fast. Correspondent Faraya Nwakutuge has the details.
Every year, Zimbabwe grows millions of kilograms of tobacco, only 1% of which is processed locally. Some farmers' associations want the government to impose export ceilings to encourage local value addition, such as cigarette manufacturing. However, some industry experts argue it takes more than having ready access to the raw material to sustain cigarette making, and restricting exports could be futile in the short term.
We might just end up with a stockpile of unsold tobacco. I think we need more players. I think we need more brands. I mean, cigarettes are about branding. They're the easiest things in the world to make. But it's the branding that costs billions, as you know. You know, if you look at Philip Morris, BAT, Japan Tobacco, etc., all their money is spent on branding. And if you don't have the brands, your cigarettes don't sell.
One player is leveraging Zimbabwe's biggest tourist attraction to appeal to smokers. Mosia Tunya is the indigenous name for the Victoria Falls and the brand name for these handmade cigars.
The reason why we started this venture is to contribute towards value addition.
If Zimbabwe's ambitions to process more of its own tobacco are to be realized, startups like these need more assistance.
Government can play a much more important role in trying to push the value addition, and by making information easily available, and by export support, and financial support to kind of like help small companies like ours, maybe some tax breaks and tax holidays here and there.
At a higher level, arrangements to produce cigarettes locally are being pursued with the biggest buyer of the country's tobacco.
A lot of people have been working, including cabinet ministers, have been working on trying to persuade our Chinese partners to manufacture cigarettes here. And I think the number, something if they manufacture just 1% of their cigarettes here, it would create a ginormous industry.
In recent years, China, through Tianji, a subsidiary of the China National Tobacco Corporation, has helped expand output by financing thousands of small-scale growers.
When we return, international news. Myanmar protests leave more than 3 dozen dead in bloodiest day since military coup. And later, sport. Paralympic champion Rita Onye cries out over lack of funding for Tokyo Olympics.
You are watching ANN. Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, Africa News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. More than 3 dozen protesters in Myanmar have been shot to death as security forces opened fire on young protesters who took to the streets to rail against the military junta that took power in a coup in early February. Dead bodies and pools of blood could be seen on the streets of the Asian nation on Wednesday. Video footage and images of the protest showed demonstrators running for cover amid the hail of bullets. The United Nations says the death toll in the country since the coup has risen to at least 50. But activists say the number is higher. Protesters' demand include the release of the country's democratically elected leader, Yon Suk-koo, and other officials who have been in detention since the coup. Military leaders are alleging fraud in the November elections. Suk-koo was said to have won in a landslide. There has been no proof to their claim. What theorists had said would happen in Washington, D.C. on Thursday did not happen. The former President Donald Trump would be inaugurated on March the 4th and would return to the White House. It's never happened. Security was beefed up around the U.S. Capitol to forestall what intelligence agencies said was a renewed plan to attack the building this week. The House of Representatives cancelled Thursday's session, but the Senate continued with its agenda. Security has been significantly beefed up around the Capitol, and 1,000 more National Guard troops have been added to the Capitol security structure to ensure Congress is protected. Israel is reeling at International Criminal Court's decision to begin investigating alleged war crimes in the Palestinian territories. ICC Chief Prosecutor Fatou Bensouda says the probe would cover events in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, East Jerusalem and Gaza Strip since the middle of 2014. Israel rejected the idea of the investigation, but Palestinian officials welcomed it. The ICC has the authority to prosecute cases of genocide, crimes against humanity and war crimes in states that signed on to the Rome Statute, which is the ICC's founding treaty. Israel has never ratified the Rome Statute, but the court ruled that it has jurisdiction because the United Nations Secretary General accepted the Palestinians' accession to the treaty in 2015. Israel occupied the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem after the 1967 Middle East War. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calls the ICC investigation an anti-Semitic move and an affront to Israel. Americans are now finding a new item in their vending machines around the country: COVID-19 at home test kits. Startup Wellness for Humanity has unveiled the first FDA-approved saliva test for COVID-19 to be dispensed through vending machines. And correspondent Mark New reports.
Touchdown at Oakland International Airport, and upon arriving, grab makeup accessories, an energy bar, or a COVID-19 home test kit.
It makes so much sense, like all these other vending machines, you know. There's a CVS one, why not for COVID protection and all that?
We're very excited to be the first airport in the United States to sell COVID test kits in vending machines, because we realize that people are concerned when they're traveling that they may have been exposed while on vacation. And so we wanted to give them an option to get tested when they got home.
For around $150, the test kit allows people to put their saliva sample in a container, ship it via a FedEx label, and get results sent to their phone within 24 to 48 hours. And Oakland International Airport is just the beginning. The company that makes the test kits, Wellness for Humanity, says it is close to installing vending machines in 10 other airports. Wellness for Humanity also has 2 vending machines at its headquarters in New York, where people can order ahead, then pick up their COVID-19 test kits using a QR code for a contactless experience. It's partnering with major vending machine companies like Swift in hopes of installing 1,000 vending machines over the next half year.
We're actually looking to use the amount of vending machines that we're putting out there to be prepared for anything else that may arise in the future. And so whatever that is supplies for hurricane or whatever that is another pandemic, we're creating this powerful supply chain so we always have a quick way to answer.
Stuklik says that also means entering an emerging business sector called biohacking. They're aiming to use their network of vending machines to someday distribute all kinds of next-level health analysis, like DNA ancestry and even microbiome tests, which examine the bacteria of the gut.
Essentially, it means taking charge of your own biology based on cutting-edge science. And part of that whole process is figuring out your results. We want to be able to give, DNA testing, give microbiome testing at a discounted rate where people have a quick access for, home use. And that's kind of our future of wellness to us.
So the next time you look at a vending machine, it could be far more than an opportunity to buy a souvenir. It could be the platform for learning about the current state of your body and its future health.
Up next, sport. Paralympic champion Loretta Onye cries out over lack of funding for Tokyo Olympics. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow this story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sport, Paralympic women's F40 shot put champion Loretta Onye says she is disappointed at the lack of financial support in her preparation for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. She says she had been funding her training sessions with proceeds from her acting career in Nollywood movies. The F40 category, as classified by the International Paralympic Committee, is for athletes with short-limbed dwarfism. The UK government has given a go-ahead to a joint bid by England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland to host the 2030 World Cup. Prime Minister Boris Johnson says it is the right time to bring football home. The English Football Association said it welcomed the government's pledge of nearly £3 million towards a potential bid for the event. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a great weekend.